Welcome to Keto Meals and Recipes.com. Continuing with the easy and budget-friendly recipe videos I've been making lately, today I'd like to share with you how I make my Greek sheet pan chicken dinner. For this adapted recipe, I refer to one of my favorite Greek recipe cookbooks. As I make this meal, I'm also going to show you and explain how I get the full flavor in the chicken while at the same time retaining the proper texture and taste of the vegetables. I will also show you my classic Greek marinade for both the vegetable and the chicken, as well as the step-by-step method of how to get the absolutely perfect taste and texture for every part of this meal. If you'd like to show your support for my channel, I would appreciate it if you would please watch to the end, give it a like, and share this video with a friend or relative. And of course, I really love hearing from you, so leave me a comment or question. The macronutrient ratio for this Greek sheet pan chicken dinner is 2.2 to 1, with 9.3 grams of total carbs, 2.3 grams of dietary fiber, resulting in 7 grams of net carbs per generous serving. And if you watch to the end, I'll show you an additional side dish that goes perfectly with this meal. I like to get started by first organizing and prepping all my vegetables, cheeses, and spices. That's to ensure that I have everything I need. The next thing I do is I cut the zucchini into about 1 inch or 2.5 centimeter medallions, and then cut each of these medallions into quarters like this. Having cut all the zucchini, just toss it into a large mixing bowl. You don't have to do anything to the cherry tomatoes, just toss them into the bowl, but if you don't have cherry tomatoes or if you prefer other tomatoes, I highly recommend Roma tomatoes because they can be cut up nicely and they have a good fleshy texture. Next, cut the bell pepper, aka capsicums, into bite-sized pieces. Toss the bell peppers into the bowl with the other vegetables. Next, get your red onion, cut it in half, and then into thick ribbons. And before tossing the onion into the bowl, separate the layers. For this recipe, I'm going to chop the garlic rather than grate it, which I usually do, because I want bigger pieces of garlic so that the garlic will not burn when it's roasted in the oven. Then toss the chopped garlic into your bowl with the rest of the vegetables. To enhance the freshness and flavor many Greek recipes have, I'm going to also grate the lemon and use the zest, which is about 1 tablespoon from the single lemon, in my marinade. Also, don't forget to squeeze the lemon to get the juice you need for the recipe. Now, before making the marinade, it's a good idea to preheat your oven to 400 degrees Fahrenheit or 200 degrees Celsius, and if you have a choice, direct the heat top and bottom. To make the marinade, get a small bowl or measuring cup, to which I'm going to add my oil, then the lemon juice, the lemon zest, the dry oregano flakes, the dried basil leaves, not the powder, the dry dill, finely ground salt, and black pepper. And now stir well to combine all the marinade ingredients. Before continuing, remove about 1/3 of the marinade. This 1/3 is what I add to the bowl with the vegetables. Having done that, toss well to coat all the vegetables. Set the bowl with the vegetables aside for now. The reason I did this first is because while the vegetables are resting, the marinade flavors are going to absorb into the vegetables and really create an amazing flavor profile. I know I've mentioned this in other videos, but I would like to emphasize it, especially if this is your first time watching one of my videos. Whenever I use chicken, whether whole or in part, such as my chicken thighs here, I always like to rinse the chicken in a water bath that I poured about 1/4 cup of white vinegar into. Then put the chicken into the bowl. I recommend that you leave the chicken in the water bath for a minimum of 5 minutes and up to 10 to 15 minutes, no more. Then just pour out the dirty water and rinse each piece under running water. Before proceeding, make sure that you pat dry the chicken thighs. Once your chicken thighs are dry, get your bowl with the remaining 2/3 of the prepared marinade, For each of my chicken thighs, I like to scoop out about 1 tablespoon of the marinade. If you need, add a little extra marinade so that you have rubbed the marinade really well into both the skin and the under meat part. Having done that, place the coated chicken pieces on a large baking sheet lined with parchment paper. When you're putting your chicken onto the parchment, make sure that you leave plenty of space between each of the pieces. This will help with the baking and heat circulation. Then put the baking sheet into the middle position of your preheated oven and bake for about 30 minutes. Chicken thigh. However, if you get really large thighs, you might have to adjust your timing just a little bit, so add about 5 extra minutes. After the 30 minutes, it's time to do the next step, which is to remove the pan from the oven and position the marinated vegetables all around the chicken pieces. Put the baking sheet back into the oven and roast for 15 minutes longer. At this point, you'll notice that the vegetables are fork tender, but still a little crispy. Again, remove the pan from the oven, distribute large crumbled pieces of the feta cheese between the vegetables and the chicken thighs. Return the baking sheet to the middle position of your oven and bake for 5 more minutes. This last 5 minutes will soften the feta and bring out a really nice mild flavor in the cheese. I'm pretty sure the chicken is done perfectly by this point, but if you're not sure, I would suggest that you use a meat thermometer. And what you're looking for is an internal temperature of the meat to be at about 160 to 165 degrees Fahrenheit or 71 to 74 degrees Celsius. And for the skin to be golden and crispy. And you'll notice that the vegetables are tender, but not mushy and overly soft. Before serving, I also like to rough chop some cilantro and sprinkle it on top of everything. Doesn't this look nice and colorful? I know that this method of making a sheet pan dinner is a little bit more cumbersome than the more traditional put everything on the sheet pan at the same time and bake in the oven for the same duration. By putting everything on the baking sheet and baking it all together, all the flavors blend together and you don't really get distinct flavors. Everything is sort of tastes the same, and that's not what I wanted. And that is why I prefer this layered method, even though it's a little bit more work, because it allows for all the distinct flavors, the meat and the vegetables and the cheese, to develop and stay unique and complementary. I know I've already mentioned that I love comments, but I would love to get your thoughts on both the method I presented in this video and what you think of this Greek sheet pan chicken idea. In a previous video, I have shown you how to make my 5-minute ginger cauli rice stir fry. And here I'm showing you how I added one more side dish, my 5-minute ginger cauli rice stir fry, a perfect combination. If you're wondering what to do with leftovers, put everything in a sealed container and store in your refrigerator for 3 to 4 days. Alternatively, place everything in an airtight, freezer-safe container. Don't forget to label your container and save it as a wonderful prep-ahead meal. All you have to do is thaw it and reheat it and enjoy. Thank you very much for watching this video. Please come back when I post the next one. Until then, have a really happy and healthy day.